Hey, what's going on? So we are back with another week of the Financial Mirror, giving you the equipping you even better to have the knowledge necessary to become more financially free, more independent, and a little and just getting rid of the stress that's tied around finances nowadays. Very laid back type of stream. So if this is your first one, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you listening. More importantly, hopefully you grab something out of this that can really help you out, because this is totally meant to be something that is useful, something that maybe just gives you a chance to listen to someone talk about finances, to talk about different mindsets, different things that can put you in a predicament to where you're not getting to where you want to be financially. So that's what we do here. That's what this whole stream's about. And today's stream, right? Don't be broke and unhappy together. So it's a common thing, right? And it's just, if you've heard it before, it's based off of an old comic from like the 1930s or something, where this keeping up with the Joneses thing, right? So it's this whole mindset around where you feel like that you have this desire that you need to keep up with others, that you have this desire and this want to have what others have. So without further ado, I'm gonna jump right into this. So I titled it, like I said, "Don't be broke and unhappy together." So if you really think about it, there's a huge gap in realization when you start trying to keep up with others. So you realize so much that that everyone wants nice things. Everyone wants to be the best that they can be successful, be wealthy, have money, whatever. Like, everyone wants these things, but keeping up with the Joneses is a little bit deeper than that. Okay, so I'm going to go over it. So everyone spends and splurges on their own occasion. So it's not weird, right? Man, I bought, whatever. That mean I'm keeping up with Jones? No, not technically. So, keeping up with the Joneses is specifically talking about when you're spending beyond your income. Okay, so if you continue to live a life where you're spending beyond your income, you will fall into a downward, unstoppable spiral of spending. Okay, so I was thinking about it as I was coming up with what I was going to talk about, what I was going to really focus a stream around. And maybe you've heard of it, and maybe you haven't, but it's called a death spiral, or a graveyard spiral, or um, it has multiple names, right? But what it is this idea, and it's used in aviation, airplanes, that type of thing, where you're in this like downward spiral, right? Like you're headed downwards, but you don't feel like it. So if you're curious, look it up, graveyard spiral, death spiral, something along those lines, and you'll see it. But the depiction shows where you're in this downward spiral, like you're losing ground, like you're getting closer to the ground, you're about to wreck, right? And you feel like in this moment, what's so painful about it is that you feel like you're going straight. You feel like everything is normal. You feel like all is well, and then all of a sudden, you realize the deeper you get into this and it starts going down, you start trying to correct it. And the deeper you get into this graveyard spiral, death spiral, whatever you want to call it, the harder it becomes to correct. And eventually you'll get to the point where it's almost impossible to recover from, hence the name. So it really made me think about that and put it into a perspective of finances, that someone could be headed completely down in finances, right? And ultimately they feel like everything's lovely. They're tithing to the church, they're donating to good causes, they're doing all these things that they feel like, well, my finances are good, I can do all these extra things, and they're spending obnoxiously. And you eventually can get to the point where that you feel like you're going straight. Everything in life is, you're in between the hashes, and all of a sudden you realize, holy cow, like I'm headed on a death spiral, and this is gonna be hard to recover from. So this keeping up with the Joneses is what that becomes, where not only are you going down this terrible financial path, but you're following someone, you're following someone that is going down that path, and you're stepping right into it. So this mentality where you're trying to keep up with others, and you're trying to chase this vision of success, and it's usually involving keeping up with your neighbors. That's where the keeping up with the Joneses comes from, is this idea where the Joneses are your neighbors. Like, that's your people to your living to your left and your right. You can put any name you want there, but keeping up, let's break it down. Keeping up is material accumulation. You're buying things that you don't need, that show like this visible sign of wealth. And your neighbors can be defined as anybody that's around you. So it could be a relative, it could be friends, peers, coworkers, and yeah, it could be your neighbors. So like literally, dude's lawn looks better than mine, so I need to buy fancier grass so I can keep up with him, so forth and so on. But you want to keep up with people that are in the same class so that you look a little wealthier than the people in your current class. And the phrase is utilized in a literal sense, because the people in your neighborhood are normally people in the same class. Like you're not a middle class individual living next door to Jeff Bezos, right? Like he's living somewhere else. So you're not trying to keep up with the Elon Musk and the Jeff Bezos and stuff like that. Like you're not trying to keep up with those people. You're trying to keep up with the people to your left and right, and you're trying to envision your life to look like theirs if they're getting stuff that you don't have or that you want. So in a realistic example of this, let's say your coworker, right, shows up with a brand new iPhone, and now you want to go get the same iPhone. Potentially you actually want to get one better. The thing about it is that you didn't want a phone until you saw that they had a phone. As soon as they got this brand new iPhone, you wanted to go get a new iPhone. Or maybe it is something you had thought about, but them getting it is what triggered you to go get it, or triggered you to go buy it. And it's driven almost completely out of jealousy and this instinctual competition that's built in us, right? So there's almost like this combination of just instinct and jealousy just together that makes you and drives you to go do that. So there's a lot of things that have happened recently, right, that have made this whole keeping up with others, keeping up with the Joneses type of thing a lot easier to fall into. So you have things like targeted advertising. So you probably see like you Google shower curtains, and this is off the top of my head, right? I don't know why I'm thinking about shower curtains, but you Google shower curtains, and all of a sudden you go back to your Facebook and every other ad is a shower curtain. How did Facebook know that you were wanting shower curtains? Well, it's this targeted advertising. It's this based on your search history. It can see and connect the dots on what it is that would attract you, right? The same goes for, it doesn't just have to be advertising to buy. It can just be this targeted where you want to hear, you want to listen, and social media or search engines, they show so many great benefits, but when it starts to drive you to want things and desire these things that people are posting, and I use the term wealth signals, like things that signal that they are wealthy, and they're not. They're most likely, I'm not gonna say they're not, but they're most likely not wealthy, because in reality, in today's culture, those wealth signals is when owners are possessing these items that show or signify that they are wealthy, or they're powerful, or that they have some kind of higher social status because they drive this car or whatever. And these things are gonna show up everywhere, and subconsciously you want to be able to display those things as well. Subconsciously you're telling yourself you want to be able to drive this nice car or whatever, and it's created this cycle of unnecessary material consumption. So hopefully that's not you. Hopefully that's not what you're going after, because if it is, it's going to create this mentality of overspending. It's going to create this mentality of wanting something that you can't have. Always, you're always going to be wanting something that you can't have, and that's where this whole ball game of like really wanting to keep up with others comes from is when that happens. So uh recently I did some research around it, and it looks a lot like that this overspending or keeping up mentality is actually tied closer to more of a psychology instinct, right, instead of a lack of financial skills, which is interesting to think about, that it's psychological. Like you wanting to keep up is not because you really and truly want to see these things, but just that what people are buying is tied more to how the identity that you want. Like, so you have this identity in mind, and you want this certain identity, and this could be, a self-esteem driven thing, or it could be developed over time. Like it's a thing where it's starting to look more like overspending is actually tied more to a psychological type of thing than actually, and it manifests into a money problem. So it starts out as just something, like maybe you have a lower self-esteem, and so you buy these things and it makes you feel like you're more valuable, or that you're of a higher status, or whatever, and that's what manifests into the money problem. But it all stemmed from your lack of self-esteem. Your lower self-esteem led you, the psychology of that led you to a money problem. So it's an interesting thing. If you ever, ever are looking into it, or you ever are seeing something like that, that's a clear indicator of that you could be in this keeping up mentality, or you could be in this idea of needing to keep up with others and whatnot. So very, very important that that you begin to identify those things yourself, that you begin to identify those type of traits, those type of behaviors up front and ahead of time, because ultimately that's what's going to help drive a lot of this. So with that, we're determined to not let that be you. We're determined to not let that be you. So this is a great segue into this whole mindset of keeping up with others. So let's get right to it. So the big picture I want to bring up right here is that everybody in this whole entire world, in some capacity, they want to be happy and successful. So you can define those however you see fit. I don't know how you define success. I don't know how you define happy. But whatever it means to you, that's what you want. So if success and happy has a money-related concept in your definition, why on earth would keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up with others, trigger you or make you want these things when most of the Joneses are broke? So I looked up top debt totals, and this is, in America, this is what we're looking at, or mortgages, $8.69 trillion in debt. Auto loans, $1.19 trillion in debt. Student loans, $1.34 trillion in debt. Credit cards, $784 billion in debt. And those numbers, a lot of trillions and billions of dollars, are tied into the representation of the Joneses. Okay? So all of those things represent the Joneses. So if you're looking at that nice car, there's a nice price tag or auto loan that goes with it. If you're looking at that house, there's a nice mortgage that goes with it, and it's going to tie you right back into this statistic of being a Jones, right? And so when you're looking at homes, when you're looking at cars, when you're looking at when you're thinking about them from a sense of affordability versus what is somebody going to think if I buy this car? How are people going to look at me when I buy this car? How are people going to judge me when I buy this house? That's the issue. That's the problem. When you start to ask yourself, like subconsciously, you're like, well, if I buy this house isn't as nice. So if I buy this one, like people are going to look at me funny. People are going to judge me because I don't have a house as nice as theirs. Like, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. I don't have a car as nice as that, car that my friend drives. Like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter. Um, so, and let's be clear. Being a Jones and keeping up with Joneses doesn't have an income limit. Like, there is no like, well, after I reach a certain income, like I'll never have to keep up with anybody, because my income will be, my wealth signal or whatever. That's not true. Like, I'm pretty sure, the CEO of Twitter, like Jack Dorsey, and the CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, I'm sure they have temptations from others that, like this, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg owns like, a huge part of one of the Hawaiian islands, Kauai. So if I think it's Kauai, but if he has this big property, who's to say that Jack Dorsey doesn't want to go buy that now? Like, nobody says, what anybody is tempted by. But you'd be happily wrong. I'm not saying that they fall for the Jones mentality. I'm not saying that Jack Dorsey's going and buying part of another Hawaii island in the island chain, but it's this mentality. It's just this mental limitation that if you that you think you need to keep up with others. So I know you want to say it, yeah, but Mark Zuckerberg, man, that dude's rich. He's got all this money, and he has the money. He has money to get anything he wants. Okay, so say that. So that's fine. Like, that is a truthful statement. But they have all this money. But do they buy everything they want, right? Well, no, because if that was the case, if we looked at, across the board of people that have a lot of money, we would run across, washed up NFL players that spend all of their money and they have nothing to show for their time, making millions of dollars. They didn't build wealth. They had high income and no wealth. Or you can look at lottery winners. Huge example of people that end up with a lot of money and then they file for bankruptcy because they haven't built wealth. They had income, they had money, they had that asset, but they didn't build wealth with it. So it runs out, right? So where are we wrong? I think this is the hardest part to jump on because where are we wrong in this? We want to be happy, yes. We want to have more money, yes. We want to feel accomplished, yes. The problem with all of this, the problem is that people will continue to live this like superficial representation of this idea that money can buy happiness and success and all this. Like, it's very superficial. And being able to achieve financial freedom and perhaps like retire early, if that's something that you're interested in, all those things require you as an individual to realize what's important to you, right? It doesn't matter what your neighbors think. It doesn't matter what your friends think. It doesn't matter what your coworkers think. It does not matter because it's literally a thing where people have a desire and they want things, they desire things. Once they get it, they realize they didn't want it as much. So stop comparing yourself with the Joneses because, so many Americans are so overburdened with debt because they thought I could just buy these material things and I'll be happy. And that's not the way forward. That's not the path to success. It's not the path to wealth. And it's definitely not the path to happiness. I promise you. So stop buying the things you don't need to impress people you don't like with money you don't have. That's a common quote that I don't know who said it. You see it everywhere, but stop buying things you don't need to impress people you don't like with money you don't have. So you don't have the money to buy the car. Don't buy the car because you don't need the car, because the people that you don't even like that you're trying to impress, they're not even going to care about the car. So like, why buy the car? Like, if your only driving factor is, that I need to show off this new car, nobody cares. Nobody cares about your new car. Congratulations, you got a new car. I'm happy for you. Hopefully it's a very safe and reliable car. and you're going to tell somebody about it. You're going to be happy about that new car you got. You're going to be happy about all the things that you're buying, and everyone else is going to say, that's great. Like, I think that's nice, and they're going to move on with their life, and they're really not going to care that much. I promise you. So, it's a hurtful truth. It's just something that that has to be said. I'll be the one to say it to you, because it's hard to realize that not as many people care about the things you buy as you do. And when you buy things and you want others to look at you differently because you have these things, it's just not a truthful statement. It's not going to happen that way. So what can you do? So this is what we all probably are. If you're watching this and you watched it this far, you're probably like, well, what can I do? What can I do to not fall in this trap? Or if I'm in this graveyard spiral, what do I do to get out of it? So first things first, a great book to indulge yourself in. I'm going to say indulge because you could read or listen to this audiobook or whatever. Millionaire Next Door. And it's a very commonly recommended book by so many people. And the reason is because you learn in that book that most people that have a big house, that have that really super nice car, that have extremely they're high income earners, right? They're really not rich. Okay, so I'm gonna say it again. They have the big house, they have the really nice brand new car, and they earn super high incomes, and they're just not rich. Because what defines rich or being wealthy is not income, cars, and houses. You can look this up. Most people that end up becoming millionaires never actually even made over a six-figure income. Okay, a lot. Now, do you get there faster with more income? Yes, and that's the driving force, the driving factor behind increasing your income, is because it expedites that process of building wealth. But it does not mean that you can't become wealthy because you don't make a lot of money, right? You can't be wealthy if you don't make a lot of money, but you live like you make a lot of money. You will never be wealthy. Okay, so this is a simple fact. Just basic math will show you cannot live a life of high income, not having a high income, and be able to build wealth. You're going in the wrong direction. So a fine example, and it is a part of the Millionaire Next Door, and I won't ruin the whole book because there's a ton of good information there. But a part of that book, the guy, they hired 10 millionaires to interview, whatever, and this guy, he was a fill-in because one of the millionaires backed out, and he walks in and he's got this really nice watch and very fancy suit or whatever, and I'm improving this whole thing, but pretty much he walks in and they didn't tell him that everybody in the room was millionaires, right? He was a millionaire, but they didn't tell him that everyone else in the room were millionaires. There was 9 other millionaires in the room, and he walked in with his really nice watch and this suit, and he looked around, and as they asked questions, he was, chest bowed out, he's living life, I'm a millionaire, I'm better than you is the persona that he portrayed, because he's looking at all these cats, and he looks very much more wealthy than these guys. His gold watch is, tons of money. His suit is worth tons of money, and he's looking around at all these people, and they're peasants to him, because they don't dress nice, they don't have all this stuff, and yeah, you know where I'm going with this. You know exactly where I'm going with this, because it's the realistic thing, is that like your material possessions does not make you rich. Your material possessions do not make you wealthy. So after getting asked all these questions, this guy, he ends up realizing that his net worth is way lower than these other guys. He's got this fancy watch and suit, but his net worth, how much he physically, the wealth that he's actually built, is way less than those other guys in the room. So that's just a simple example of how like what you have, those material things that you have are not what's going to carry you out. It's not going to help you build that legacy that you want in life. So I'm going to quickly, there's 4 things that I want to touch on of what keeps people from building wealth. And Hopefully you can identify with one of these. 4 quick things, hit on these real quick. And I truly want to say that it's a it's a thing where if you'll remember these 4 things, keep these 4 things in mind, you will happily see that your life will get better. You will happily see that everything will be a lot more easier to control. So, following reasons people don't build wealth. Here we go. First, they prioritize their spending over getting rich, or i.e., building wealth. I use the two interchangeably. Getting rich, building wealth. Getting rich to some means higher income. It's not what it means to me. Getting rich is building that wealth. So this brings the keeping up with the Joneses for this person. So if you're prioritizing your spending over building your wealth, you're headed down the wrong path. So if you follow someone that's influencing you on social media because you really want to have the things they have, please do yourself a favor, unfollow them. Don't watch it. Don't look at it. If it's constantly aspiring you to want to be just like them and buy the things they have, please unfollow them. Do yourself a favor. Get control of your spending through a budget. Start building that wealth. Prioritize that spending in a sense to where I'm making these things a priority, but they're all building upon that wealth that I'm trying to achieve, because you've got to prioritize the goal of building wealth for your family and that legacy versus trying to get every new nice thing that releases. Every year, something new is going to replace what was new last year, right? Every 6 months, something's replacing what was new, right? 6 months ago. So start prioritizing that goal of building wealth for your family and that legacy, instead of just trying to buy new things. Okay, so that's first and foremost. The other reason people don't build wealth is that they have this mentality that good things can't happen to them. They have this mentality where I'm in this place, or I'm in right now, and good things can't happen to me. So, in the words of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., tomorrow's MLK Day. And so I'm using a quote that he put out one time. You can kill the dreamer, but you can't kill the dream. So if you think that things can't happen to you, you are sadly mistaken, because dreams and aspirations have power. You just have to believe in them. If you're saying that I really want to do XYZ, but you don't truly believe it, you will not get there. If you will buy in and you'll just do it, I promise you, those dreams and those aspirations, that will be the fuel you need to get there. You just have to believe them. You have to believe those things. You can kill the dreamer, you can't kill the dream. And the reason is because the dreamer is not the one with the powers. The dream that's going to continue. The dream has the power to get there. So you as the dreamer have to believe fully in that dream, and you'll get there. I promise you. Be patient. Patience is a reason that people don't get wealthy. Patience is a reason that people can't build wealth, because building wealth takes time. So most are not willing to wait the 6 to 10 years to enjoy all the nice things affordably, right? They're too old to start saving, is what you hear people say. They're not patient because they're too old now to start saving. I should have started in my 20s or my 30s or even my 40s, and it's too late now. Why would I start saving now? Something else that people do, and living on credit, constantly adding new lines of credit. Debt is just over consuming their life. They feel they can't really get out, because every time they get rid of one debt, they're moving on to another. So they feel they can't get out of this. So that's a couple of things that you see. You're constantly seeing with people when they're in debt. So is this never-ending cycle of I can't get out. So really quick, I want to move over to this retirement calculator. Hope everybody sees this, but this is on playingwithfire.co, which is FIRE is it's pretty much a financial movement type of thing. Financial independence, retire early and this is playingwithfire.co is a great resource if you're ever interested in learning more about the FIRE movement. I'll do a video on it. I'll stream on it one day in the future, but this FIRE retirement calculator, I thought it was really nice, because what it does is it sort of shows you when you can expect to achieve financial independence. And what that means is that you're able to live on the money, on the return the rate of return which your money is built. So let's say you like I'll pull up a calculator so you can see. So let's say you have $500,000, right? And the average rate of return is for your money is 8%. What that means is that you now have a $40,000 annual income because you're not eating into your 500,000. You're only living off the 8% return it's doing. So the next year, if you lived on the 40,000, you would still have 500,000 because this year this is now 540,000, right? You see what I'm saying? So let's make that, if I did $1 million, that's $80,000 income or whatever. So let's say you can get a 13% on $750,000. You'd have a 97,500. Anyways, you see what I'm saying? So the idea behind financial independence is where you end up saying, my money is grown enough that I can live on the rate of return only. And this year, like a lot have their rate of return may have been lower or higher. I've seen a lot of people that had a higher rate of return this year, which is amazing, right? During the COVID and all that kind of stuff. But if let's just stick to 500,000. If you're able to do that and get, a 13% return, $65,000 a year income. So that's what financial independence is, where you have this brokerage account that has a certain rate of return that you can almost expect. Nothing is for sure, but you can almost expect. So anyways, that's what this is doing. This is showing you how much do you need, how much of that amount do you need to get to, and how long is it going to take you to get there at your current rate of investing. So right here, we'll start out with, I'm 28, so we'll put 28 in here. Just for giggles, we're just going to make up numbers here. So household income, we're going to do an individual. So $50,000 is what we're going to say. Annual expenses, we're going to say that the average person with a $50,000 income, $50,000 annual income, 22%. Sorry. So this, I'm just doing this off the top of my head. So $44,000 is going to be our net, right? If we do that at a 30%, if you watched a previous episode about the 50, 30, 20, we're going to do 30%. Household, right? So household is going to be 30%. Yep, 30%. We'll do 50, 44. And we'll do we'll do a 20% savings rate, okay? So 8,800. So annual expenses, we'll do 35,200 roughly. Granted, I am going to tell you that that's not what I would recommend. I'm just basing this off like a 50, 30, 20 type of thing. So you can see, so we're going to do a $35,200 annual expenses. We're going to have to lower that to get our years down. But anyways, current net worth. So, let's say you have $10,000 in a current brokerage account. That's our starting point. All right. So cash is -3, right? So I'm just going to look up average stock returns 2020. Yahoo, get away from me. Average stock market return 2020. S&P 8.94. So we can bump this up to 8.94 or 8.9. Oh snap, what happened? I lost it. I lost my thing, man. Sorry. All right, it's 35, so 28, then we had 50,000. And then we had 32,500, I think is what it was. Current net worth, we did 10,000. Stock return, we'll just do 9% for giggles, okay? And average bond return, forecast 2.7 ish. So yeah, so we'll just roll that up to 3, and then cash always is going to be less than. So 20 years. So by age 48, I'd be completely financially independent at this level, right? So what it's trying to get me to is the 4%. So roughly at this point, I'd have a portfolio of about $877,000. Okay. So that's what this is doing. So if we shifted that and we lived and we saved, let's say, half of our money, right? We got to a 50% savings rate. That would drop us to $22,000 in annual expenses. We would cut that to 12 years by age 40. Because what that's banking on is now we only need a portfolio of 608,000. So anyways, go play with this calculator, plug some numbers, and figure out what you need to get your annual expenses to and how much you need to be able to invest. Because what this is saying is 50,000 that annually they're saving 56%, $28,000 a year. So we got to get this percentage up, this annual savings percentage up, figure out what your savings goals is so that you can become financially independent. All right. So finally, what I want to leave you with, I want to leave you with a couple things, right? That have really, first off, you've got to save. You've got to nip it in the bud, that spending habit that you're doing. You've got to cut that. Okay. So first off, I'm going to leave you with a couple of things, 4 quick points. Take the pressure off yourself. So if your goal is to be happy, keeping up with others is not going to get you there. Okay. So take that pressure off yourself. It doesn't matter what people think of you. Okay. That's just life 101. Focus on yourself, focus on your goals, focus on your dreams, and chase those. Everyone has their own goals. Everyone has their own dreams. Everyone has all these things. The people that spend all of their waking days trying to keep up with everyone that's to their left and to their right, they will fall short of their goals and dreams, or they will have to pick and choose which goals and dreams they achieve. So figure out your goals and dreams and chase those. Put all of your effort into achieving those dreams and those goals. Okay. In the end, you can hold me to this. You will be light years ahead of all of those people that you were looking at thinking that they were just all great and had all these wealth signals and all that. You will be light years ahead of those people. Okay. So that's number one. Second thing, buying things that satisfy you, make you happy in the short term. So if I buy something, like I want a new computer, I'd love to build another computer, but I don't really need it. So why buy it? I don't need to buy it. So if I bought it, I'd be so ecstatic. For a couple of days, I'd be so ecstatic. And then the second that I continue to think like, man, that computer cost me $2,000 to build and mine was just fine the way it was, I will quickly regret that purchase, or I'll have that and then I'll want to buy something else because now I need a new monitor to go with it, or now I need, this lifestyle, such a vicious lifestyle to live. So if you buy things that make you happy, it's better to spend that money on experiences. You can read that anywhere, that you can buy happiness, but the happiness doesn't come in the form of buying things. It doesn't come in the form of buying material things. So stop spending your money on the material things that you think you want. There's this great strategy out there. It's called a 30-day strategy, where you write something down. Let's say I want a new computer. I write it down. I want a new computer on a fridge, a note on the fridge or something, right? In 30 days, I come back and look at it. I don't dread on it. I don't, whatever. I just write it down. And in 30 days, I come back and look at it. And if in 30 days I still want it just as bad as I did that day, I buy it. I absolutely need it at that point. It's been 30 days and I still want it, so I'll buy it. So if that's something that would help you, try it. But I promise you, if you'll save your money and invest your money into happiness things, like experiences, like a vacation, you wanted to go. I don't want to go skydiving, but if you want to go skydiving and that's something you want to do, save up, buy that. That's something that you can think about and talk about forever. Nobody cares that you got a new computer. Nobody cares if I get a new computer. They really don't. I'll tell them about it and they'll be like, oh, that's cool. And life moves on. Nobody really cares. If I got to talk to somebody about skydiving and I can relate to someone that went skydiving and I can think about it, I can relive that in my head over and over again. That's something that's satisfying. Like you enjoyed it. It was great. Like I said, I wouldn't skydive, but if that's something you're into, get things that will will be that experience. But let's say like you're saving up for it and you have this desire, right? This dream, this aspiration to go do whatever. I want to go to Australia or whatever. And you save for it and you start cutting all those other things because you have a goal and a dream of going to Australia. You start to realize you start not spending on things that you were spending your money on because you have this desire, right? So focus on that. Thirdly, I can't say it enough. Building wealth takes time. It's not a quick thing. So don't try to make it quick. Don't look up. Don't Google, like get rich quick schemes. Like they don't work. They will not work. Don't get into some multi-level marketing thing. Like just because everyone shows you this luxurious lifestyle, don't get into Forex, foreign exchange. Like just don't jump in. To be honest with you, don't even get into like buying stocks because somebody else that just won $50,000 in stock market. Like it's not quick. If you hear someone had great success, there's something that they're doing or something that they have been doing. This could have been a 5-year long process of playing in the stock market, and don't ask them how much they lost because they'll probably tell you $1 million. Like don't look at it from an outside view and say this is something that I can get rich quick doing, because it's not true. It's simply not true. So don't try to make it quick, because during that process of building wealth, you're going to learn so much. You're going to experience things, you're going to do things, and those are valuable lessons in wealth building, and you will be able to pass those down from generation to generation to your kids, to your spouse, to whomever that you can share that knowledge with of something that you experience. So don't come up short on that. And then finally, a quote by Warren Buffett, and I wanted to leave you with this because it really means so much into this keeping up with the Joneses mentality, is that if you buy things you don't need, you will soon be selling all the things that you do need. And so if that doesn't touch you like that, that's the part that truthfully matters. So when you start buying those really nice houses, you start buying those really nice cars that you can't afford, what's going to end up happening is you're going to file bankruptcy and you're going to lose all of it. You're going to lose all of it. So it really doesn't matter what people think. It really doesn't matter what people think of what you drive. It really doesn't matter what people think of what you wear. It really doesn't matter what people like. It really doesn't matter. You have your life to live. Everyone has their life to live. Make sure that you're choosing a life that's growing your wealth, growing your financial freedom, in a sense that you don't have to worry about money. Like money is something that you manage. We manage our money, right? We budget our money. We do that. Like we're in control of our money, but we're not worried about our money. Okay. So, thank y'all. Thank everyone that listened. If you're listening to this on podcast later on after the live stream, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcast and subscribe to the podcast. You see all the latest episodes. But if not, hopefully sometime you can enjoy a live stream Sunday, every Sunday at 1 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Currently, we're 4 hours behind Central, so that's 5 p.m. Central, and 5 hours behind Eastern, so 6 p.m. Eastern. So with that, I appreciate everyone that's watching. I appreciate everyone that is tuning in, whether, like I said, via the podcast or via the live stream. Truly appreciate it. It's great to finally be kicking off this 2021, and let's make 2021 better than 2020. All right. So with that, if you've missed your January budget, get on the January budget and take a look around. Take a look around at how your habits, and make sure that the habits that you're choosing are pushing towards that wealth building. So with that, appreciate everyone for watching. Until next week, peace.